What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
Rhomas Men's Team, we are live, back in action. Pretty simple. We help each other make progress on our goals. MFG had an interesting topic this morning. Sounds like a basic, simple topic, but it's not. It's often overlooked. MFG, would you mind introducing it, brother? Yeah. Think you're up, bud. Oh, sorry, his internet is a little wonky right now. Sorry, dudes. Ray is missing in action here. We're going to try to see if we can get him up. I think he might be taken off to something right now. And then MFG's internet's a little wonky. Arjuna to save the day, as always. Arjuna, I think you might be on mute. I see the mute button on. We will see.
You good?
Yep. Yeah, MFG wanted to talk about this basic topic that seems basic, but oftentimes is overlooked. And then when you actually start doing it again, it's pretty profound. He said that he was not feeling that well, just in general off, not only physically, but mentally. And he started rehydrating, like almost what I would say is intentionally rehydrating, not just like, oh, I drink water when I kind of feel like it, or I remember to. But intentionally, almost like overdosing on water. What's your perspective, Arjuna? Can you relate to that? Is what percentage of ailments do you feel like can be solved by A, rehydration, and then B, just by the fundamentals?
Yeah. Rest and water, I'd say, are key components. Actually, when I first got into this, into the Rhomas, I appreciated that it seemed like the very first thing that you said for the checklist was like, for you were saying your litmus test was always if you pee clear. And that I've been, weirdly, I haven't been drinking as much, but I've been trying to wake up, drink this and that. And I definitely can feel the difference of just like, it's almost like a personal responsibility. Like the more water I drink, the better I'm feeling I'm doing in my life.
Oh, without doubt. I mean, I hate to sound like I'm pushing the scorecard all the time, but that thing has just helped me for probably 2 decades now. And almost every single time I want to come back and have a pity party on myself or blame others or blame the universe, dude, it's like 95% of the time where there's just something off in my fundamentals. I'm either not properly sleeping, I'm not properly hydrating, I'm not working out, I'm not keeping my relationships to a level where they need to be. Like all of that stuff, it's insane how much comes back to the fundamentals. Pablo, what's up, brother? How you doing? Can you hear him? I cannot hear him. I don't know if it's my internet today or...
No, it might be muted. Oh, I just want to let you know I got to hop off in a few minutes. I got couples counseling once a month.
All good, brother. Pablo, you good now, bro? Let's see. The amount of times where I come back to the fundamentals, it's almost 100%. And I would say for me, it's sleep most of the time, but hydration, as MFG was saying, very common, and one of those things where you don't think about it. But yes, my litmus test is for sure if I'm peeing clear. Ray, let's throw the ball over to you. Welcome back, brother.
Thanks, dude. I'm peeing clear today.
Yeah. Hey. Full George Clooney beard and everything.
Yeah, man.
So MFG was saying how he was feeling physically and mentally off, and just remembered basically to chug water. And now he's saying he's front loading water in the mornings, and he's saying he feels dramatically different. as simple as that sounds, how often, Ray, is it just come back to the fundamentals?
Yeah, man. There's a reason that water is on our scorecard: sleep, weigh yourself, water, active love, goal review, learning segment, journaling, movement, and meditation. And we call those the fundamentals because they're things that as a man and as a leader and for holistic success, you need to be doing every day. A lot of them are common sense, but we're not set up anymore to just we don't live in a world where common sense governs us anymore, right? The way we use our phones, the way we are kind of atomized from our communities. We need a reminder, like the daily scorecard that we do in this men's group, to hit the fundamentals. And ideally, we hit them early in the morning so that we can really stack 10 quick wins to set up our energy and our mood for the best day possible.
And speaking of the fundamentals, I got to ask you guys this because approaching summer, and it always sparks the conversation of physical body representative of your inner mentality. And is there a reconciliation that needs to happen there? Because I could say for sure there is with me. Like, I need to get back.
Yeah,
on
right. There is with you, Wes.
Yeah. Ray, let's throw it over to you. Go through a reconciliation process.
Yeah, I definitely need the IRS to audit my flabby belly, man. I have been to the gym 3 times this week, which is great. If I could go to the gym 3 times a week for the rest of my life, I'd be really happy with that habit. My diet is much harder to discipline. I managed to get all the protein I want in, but it's all that extra stuff that I love, all those extra carbs and sugars and, dairies and treats and stuff that I could do without. But, I'm not in the habit of jogging with my shirt off, so I'm okay with the way my bod looks. The fitness, I mean, it's about looking good, but it's feeling good is the biggest dividend that it pays, right? In terms of mood and self-confidence. So, I want to stick to my workout momentum or add to it.
Arjuna, what comes up for you? Does your physical body represent your inner mentality?
Yeah. After falling in love with parkour, I feel so blessed that like I'll try and get people to go to the gym or this or that or the other, and oftentimes it's like a chore for people to go do exercise and physical endurance. But after that whole experience of finding that as my passion, now it's just a matter of waiting for the sun to come out and the surfaces to get dry. But my body's like I'm fucking nasty because I'm out there just doing primal shit. I'm just out there being a monkey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I can actually relate to that wholeheartedly. And then Arjuna, for some reason your audio is a little staticky. I'm not sure, Ray, if you heard the same thing. But
I did, Wes. But Arjuna's flex there reminds me of the animal movement that
exactly what I was going into.
Do you want to explain that to Arjuna just so he knows you're a kindred spirit?
Man, so I just had a bunch of family out here. And my cousin's big into fitness. And I would say like the stereotypical fitness, like running, lifting, etc. So I've been doing animal flow for probably, I don't know, Ray, probably like a year, I'm guessing, somewhere around that, 6 months to a year. It changed my life. Like you said, Arjuna, I'm just out there being a monkey. And I almost wish it was not called animal flow because I think that turns a lot of people off. But moving how your body is supposed to move and full range of motion every day and getting out there in the sun in the morning and on the grass, it's hard to explain how good it feels. I would almost, if I were restarting my workout journey from, being a teenager, I would put that as the core of the workout. I mean, Arjuna, it seems like you can relate.
Couldn't agree more. I actually had to, because I would go hard in my regular, what's it called? Like cardio and stuff like that. And I'm 35. I realized in this last year when I'm taking all these impacts and stuff like that, that I simply have to drop off because the parkour and the primal movement is more than enough. And it has my strength and my physique. Like in years of physical regimens and stuff, the parkour is hands down has me in the best shape, better than any other procedures.
And guys, if I can give you an update, I looked up animal flow exercise and some of the hilarious images. And as it turns out, this is what I've been doing. Like I've been working out with a friend. And so for the second 30 minutes, I lead it, and we do weights and weighted squats and that kind of thing. And for the first 30, it's a lot of calisthenics and movements, well, kind of more elegant burpees and whatnot. And I'm looking at like the crab reach, the underswitch, the alligator walk, the side traveling ape. And these are precisely the things I've been doing for the first 30 minutes of my exercise, these past 3 sessions. So please welcome me in your number as a fellow crab reacher.
Yeah.
Hey,
because
I appreciate
it comes down to.
I gotta hop off. Love y'all. Have a great week. Catch you.
All right, brother. Love you too, man.
Yeah, so it's a lot of like Wes. It feels like it's a lot of kind of. It seems as if it's mobility focused movement rather than purely weight and resistance, right?
And I would ask us, as I'm studying more of this and learning, okay, what makes people do things? What makes me do things versus not do things? I finally, for me in my own head, I was able to sort of connect the dots. Anytime I can build what I'm calling like a limbic bridge, meaning if I have a North Star goal, like most of my goals, like all of us, are out into the future. Well, the more out into the future you get, the less limbic system involvement you get because it's this perceived potential future. And what I'm noticing is if I can build what I'm calling a limbic bridge to that future, how can I integrate my limbic system so that I actually feel heavily compelled to do something? And I think that's done in several ways. Number one, really increasing the why. Like, why am I doing this? And then also the quicker I can get involved with other humans because they bring the limbic bridge to me. Like as soon as you join a team, there's all of a sudden expectations and social pressure, et cetera, to show up, to participate, to give your best, et cetera. That's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing a limbic bridge is incredibly important for me to start doing things. Now, to this point, for me, my limbic bridge there is, well, what am I doing? Like, go to the gym that day, or I'm not going to eat healthy that day. I have to remember, why am I doing this? I'm doing it so that I am able to physically handle myself and protect my family, protect my girlfriend, et cetera. Like, if I can bring it to that level of why, then showing up is a lot easier, or doing my animal movement is a lot easier. Because, by the way, one of the main reasons I do animal movement is so that I can be a good fighter. So when I get into the MMA gym, I can move properly, et cetera. Ray, can you relate at all, or
well, something that comes to mind, Wes.
Yeah,
something that comes to mind is what's the language that you use when the payoff doesn't occur right away? There's like a delayed feedback loop, or what is it called?
I'm not sure. I often use the mental model payback ratio. I'm not sure if that's
so. Well, for example, what I'm saying is like you need to build a limbic bridge because if you work out today, all you get is sore muscles. You do not get better abs or muscles from a single workout, right? So then maybe you don't work out today. You're faced with the same math tomorrow. If I work out tomorrow on Tuesday, I'm not going to be buff right away. I'm not going to be buff on Wednesday. So then you can talk yourself out of it. But it's the cumulative effect of working out that the first benefits are only obtained like 2 weeks out, right? So you need to there is a delayed feedback, or they're like the benefits are delayed from the inputs, right? And so there's definitely a mental model required, or a limbic bridge that needs to be inserted in between. And yeah, there are lots of probably the best things in life don't, with the exception of sunsets and like soft serve ice cream, the most important things in life, I'll say, have this kind of like delayed gratification or delayed payoff. And so we saving money for your retirement, right? Saving money in general. Scheduled maintenance on your car, right? These are all things that these are the opposite of a crisis response model, right? So the crisis response model is, for example, in the economy, when the economy craters, there's all kinds of reforms passed in Washington so it doesn't happen again. Of course, maybe those reforms would have been better off passed before the crisis. When it comes to health, it's too late, or it is long overdue if you only start exercising and eating well in your 60s after a heart attack, right? So this limbic bridge, for example, inserting an accountability partner or a team, so that part of the transaction cost is you're letting down your team, as maybe that stings you more than letting down your future self, which we can all kind of negotiate around. So yeah, I think the limbic bridge, the accountability partner or the accountability of the team is a great example of a limbic bridge when it comes to health and fitness. And again, I think I'd say the mission of this group, Wes, is to create a limbic bridge to all the things that you just don't get taught in school, like Rob said. Fitness, finance, feelings, and I would add fashion.
Yeah. I mean, because I think oftentimes, especially as we get a little bit older, we acquire a little bit more resources. We haven't been hit in the face in a while. Like there are all these things where it's a choice to whether or not to improve ourselves. But we know, and maybe, Ray, the term you're looking for is like a latency or something like that, where there's this lag time between stimulus and response, or action and reward, or action and consequence. That I want to bring up to everybody again, because as we improve ourselves in some areas, then inevitably the other balls drop. And for me, it's just a quick battle cry to say, hey, if we're not on top of our fitness game right now, it's time to get our ass in gear to do it. And whether that be because you want to look good on the beach, or because you want to be top level fitness so you can protect your family, or you want to compete in a sport, or whatever that is. And also, I want people out there to hear, saying to yourself, well, I'm not an athlete. I was never an athlete. I realize there might be a whole bunch of mental baggage if like you weren't the guy in high school that was on the football team or the baseball team. And you're almost shamed because you weren't like Division I level, athletic. I think that's a whole bunch of bullshit, that society has done that to a lot of men. And it's like, you deserve to be able to go out there and fucking move. And in fact, if you study fighting, right, like that's kind of the great equalizer, in my opinion. And a lot of most athletes do not go and study fighting because it's a nerdy type of study. So if you're ever interested, or if anybody's thinking about that, I'd highly, highly recommend it. And it's a great way of getting in shape as well.
Yeah, and the same is true for so many disciplines, right? Like our head trash really gets in the way more than anything else from us taking leaps out of our comfort zone. Like, so I wasn't an athlete. I was one of those guys you're just talking about. I wasn't an athlete in high school or college. Like I did, I was in the choir. I did tap dancing and figure skating, and then figure skating in the least athletic way possible. I just want to highlight the artsy.
Did you literally do tap dancing and figure skating?
Oh yeah, from a young age, dude. Yeah,
those weren't even options where I grew up. That's amazing.
I know, dude. Neither was vitamin D. So I know that about you, Wes. I know that about you, but the same is true for dance, right? Like you're amazing, Wes. The way you are, like, so curious and invested in learning fighting, like in an MMA like dojo or coach, as well as ballroom dancing, right? Because I'm sure, tell me about ballroom dancing and like what age were you when you got into it, and whether the same head trash applied.
Yeah. What happened? I think I went to Aruba when I was a kid. So my mom worked for the airline, so we could fly for free. So on occasion, we would just like randomly take a trip somewhere, which was amazing. Almost like it was like, okay, a last minute deal where like a hotel was trying to fill up some of the rooms. So it's like, oh, if you can make it here by tomorrow, you get a 75% discount. So anyway, we went to Aruba, and these dancers came up and they did like a choreographed dance at like some like restaurant. And I just remember being captivated. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So kind of tucked that away in the parking lot of my brain. And then fast forward, I don't know, like 10 years. And I was just in college and noticing that I was drinking. And then every time I drank the day after, I'd feel horrible, right? It would impact my gym schedule, et cetera. So I just noticed all these downstream consequences, and I never had a problem with drinking. In fact, I drank kind of rarely. But then I ultimately determined it was like, oh, I'm just drinking to go and try to dance with females. How about I just skip the drinking part and I just go learn the skill of dancing? And then I also found that, like, I was a horror after years of drinking and dancing. I gained essentially zero skill at dancing. So, and I think I maybe even saw a video of myself one time. I was like, oh, I'm horrible. Like I thought I was amazing. And then I just kind of connected the dots. I was like, oh, I remember those people in Aruba who were dancers. And I was like, why don't I go and do that? So I went and I tried salsa dance. And that literally changed my life. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. But
it does. And Wes, you two are a master storyteller. Just like I just picture young Wes kind of like looking like Harry Potter, just like kind of astonished at the sensuous, almost like kind of like erotic moves of the dance troupe in Aruba at some what are some of those kind of naughty resorts, like a sandals resorts or something? One of those swinging resorts, and then again, that video of you dancing, thinking you're a master dancer, drunk, but then reviewing that video sober. I mean, that's fantastic. So Wes, let's bring it back to fitness. For example, can I describe the 1 hour I've been doing for the last week in over 3 sessions, and you can tell me whether I need to add anything or not?
Yeah, and we're going to have MFG judge you. Speaking of dancers, MFG's back here. Let's do it.
Okay, so like I said, for the first half hour, it is animal flow, which is like kind of like doing a bridge, like the crab reach is doing a bridge and then reaching up with one hand and then the other, and it's like different movements like a plank and then reaching through, like it's those kind of movements, right? So doing those kind of movement and mobility exercises for the first half hour. And then for the second half, it's just your weights, where it is weighted squats, right? 4 times, so 12 reps four sessions of that. Then a shoulder pull down on the machine, 4 times 12. A dumbbell row, 4 times 12. A flat dumbbell press, 4 times 12. And then to end it, an external rotator with a light dumbbell, 4 times 8 times per side. And so between the pull down, shoulder pull and press machine, dumbbell row, and then a dumbbell press, bench press, and external rotator cuff, that's kind of like the, I guess that's the upper body workout that I do. And I'll put that in the Discord as well. Is there anything you would recommend adding to that?
Well, let me throw the ball to MFG. MFG, what's your score or edit there?
You need more intensity, right? You need more intensity. I mean, I think that the number one component that is talked about as far as efficacy is for it to be a rigorous workout, to really push yourself every time. And it's an interesting thing because sometimes we think that there's no way that we could push ourselves every day and then be able to recover in time to do it again the next day. But as you start to push those limits, you find out that you've been holding back more than you realize. So with all due respect, Ray, that's not nearly enough with your capacity. You know, but not in a judgment way, but in a way of like that it's not a matter of how many sets or reps or what exercises you do. Because for me, I find that's an arena that you're playing against yourself. You know, so I like to use machines where I can make it, you know, like I do all the other, you know, flow stuff. I do lots of yoga, lots of stretching. You know what I mean? Obviously I lift. But the real daily practice for me is high intensity, full body cardio. You know, and doing things like the Stairmaster where there is no cheating. You know what I mean? Like hands off, hands behind the head, or you know what I mean? I often walk backwards on the Stairmaster, and because it puts you in tune with yourself, and you feel like you can push yourself to the point that you feel like you're gonna die, okay? But then you can go take a fucking shower and go to work and carry on with your day. So you began to realize that this exists not only in the physical realm, but where else in your life do you think that you're doing enough? Do you think that you're checking the fucking boxes, but you don't know what's beneath the surface? And that's hard to quantify in other realms, you know? But I find that the physical realm is one where it's scalable for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a top tier athlete or if you're a brand new person. You can push yourself beyond what you think you could do and then still be okay. And then what that begins to do is it changes your internal narrative and your internal scope. So, you know, and then it attunes you to start looking at different areas of your life. Like if I didn't think I could do an hour on the Stairmaster and I did it and I get off and I'm drenched in sweat, you know what I mean? But then I went and I was able to carry on with my day. I didn't fall apart. I got up and did it the next day. It's like, where else am I leaving shit on the field? Where else am I giving myself, well, I did, is this enough? Is this good enough? Did I check the boxes? You know, because, you know, when you take away the exterior validation and you start to discredit what anybody else thinks in a way that's empowering, you know what I mean? Not to be dismissive of mentors or people that can give you value, but when you start to think like, I don't give a fuck what you think of my workout, right? I don't care what it's got none of my business what you guys think of me. I know that I can go in there and push myself to the limit. And also too, even when it looks good, I know when I've not pushed myself to the limit. And I'm the motherfucker that has to put my head on the pillow and deal with that at night. So when I go to the gym, you know, I might post the fucking sweaty steps and the Jacob's ladder on Instagram, but that's an internal accountability for myself. Because I have to, you know what I mean? If you don't push yourself to that point, then you just know you're shorting yourself in the physical realm, and that's what we can see. So how bad are you doing that in the rest of your life? How bad are you holding back in the workplace? How bad are you holding back on your ambitions and what you're willing to push for? And you don't you think that you're doing enough because you look to your left and to your right, you look up and you look down, and it's like, oh well, I'm doing as much as these people. I'm doing okay. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm okay with my body. It's well, that's great, but are you really okay with it, or are you just rationalizing yourself, because you want some little fucking sweet treats, and then when you get to that internal, I mean, this is like, I came across David Goggins from like 2017 when everybody else did. But I find myself revisiting some of his philosophy from a different standpoint now, where it's like, yeah, it's cool to be this physical marvel and accomplish those things. But when you pay attention to the philosophical reason as to why he does what he does, it has very little to do with the physical realm. That's just a theater that you can easily explore and quantify and see results, to your point, right, on an immediate basis. Like, yeah, it takes 2 weeks, but you can go sweat your ass off for 30 minutes and know that you left it all there. Whereas like you go put in extra time at work, you go develop a new plan. That we're talking months, if not sometimes years, before those results yield a benefit. So the physical realm is just you know, it's not an obligation, it's an opportunity to explore your capacity and then apply that more broadly. So do more.
Yes, we chef. And Wes, what his discussion and his Mark Wahlberg energy reminds me of our what we talked about with um, combat sports and what's the one? Guys who get sober, they get into Peaky Blinders, deadlifting, and it's not Tai Chi. What's the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu.
Where
Yeah.
you push yourself beyond what you think you can do, and because it literally feels like you're gonna die, right? It literally feels like you're being choked, but pushing yourself way beyond the horizon of your comfort zone and what you think you can survive on the mats bleeds over into other areas of your life for sure. And so I think that that's definitely something I can do more of. Or the jujitsu mat is definitely somewhere where you have no choice because of the opponents. You have no choice but to push yourself beyond what you think you can do.
Well, and I really like what MFG is saying is that how you show up to the work, a lot about how you show up to other things. If I'm hearing you correctly, MFG, and I love it. So if we look at your workout, or if we look at jujitsu, it's like how you show up on the mat, right? Like in jujitsu, one of the things, at least at the studio that I go to, you have to bow before you get on the mat, right? It's a respectful place. It's meant to be a bridge of like, okay, before you step foot on the mat, you are to bow to recognize you're about to go into like a different dimension. You're about to go do a different thing. All the baggage gets left behind. You now have to play by these rules. Even there, a lot of us men don't like to play by rules. Like, well, how about before you start to break the rules, you learn to operate within them to see if they're even worth breaking to begin with, right? Like how you show up to things, especially to difficult things like a workout or to a cold shower or a cold plunge or your work day or whatever, really important. And MFG, like as you're talking, I'm finding these little gaps in my own workout or my own behavior and how they're traveling over to other areas, especially the ones where it's like, well, who's going to know anyway? And it's like, well, I'll fucking know, that sort of a thing.
And that's everything for me, is that I'm gonna know. I mean, and that's, and it was explained to me in a different area, a few years back. It was a difference between somebody who was good at what they did, somebody who was a true craftsman, was that the craftsman does it the right way, makes it perfect, especially when no one is going to see it, and that's where, and also too, it's like you start to develop a new respect for yourself. But just to be clear, I fucking hate doing it every day. Every morning I wake up and I go through a litany of like rationalizations and like, oh, I can take, I mean, I've been working really hard. I probably need the rest. It's like, I might need the rest, but doing the work will serve me much more than the recovery would, and that sucks. You know what I mean? And then when you don't want to do it and you do it enough times against yourself, when you don't want to do it, then you have to come to the realization that it's like, well, fuck, I'm just going to do this every day, even when I don't want to. And now I have a narrative that I just do it even when I don't want to. But now there's no getting away from it. You know what I mean? So for me at least, it's an opportunity to create a depth of understanding and accountability within yourself, only to yourself. Because nobody else is going to know. I mean, I could fuck off and still, look good and still, have people, their external validation in that capacity. But I'm going to know. And as soon as you let that into one area of your life, it bleeds into every other. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, you're just doing shit that's good enough. It's one thing to enthusiastically apply the scorecard, whatever the Rhomas scorecard or your own. But you can easily slip into apathy where you're just checking the boxes, and you're still, and it's not even about the output. It's about if you know that you're holding something back from yourself. You know what I mean? Out of fear, out of thinking that it won't work out, whatever. But we all have those things that we hold back on, and for me, it's when it shows up in one area of my life, it starts to bleed into the other. So when I start feeling shitty at the gym, I'm like, all right, what am I actually avoiding? You know what I mean? So it kind of becomes like an early alert system as well, because it makes you congruent across all vectors. You know what I mean? You're like, I lay it all on the line, no matter what I'm doing. I do the right thing, no matter what. Not when it's convenient, not when it's easy, not when it would be hard to do the right thing. I could just do this and ignore it. It's just you're now stacking wins, and you're writing your own ticket. You know what I mean, Ray? It's not where it's like, oh, but I get work done and I do this and I made this many cold calls. I didn't go to the gym, but that's okay because I was busy and I still went to my 12-step meeting and I picked somebody up on the way. It's like, cool. Who are you trying to do this for? You rationalizing to yourself, and so if you can learn to pay attention to it and stay out of like falling into the shame spiral of that, because it's also easy too when you don't do one thing. You don't go to the gym, you skip your meeting, Ray, and then you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a cheesecake. Or I'm gonna get pizza. You know what I mean? Like, because you're like, oh, the whole day is gone already. You know what I mean? That all or nothing mentality. And I just find that if you just fucking do everything the same, it just makes it simpler. You know what I mean? Because then I'm not operating from a place of like, okay, I give my all here, but I gotta hold back here. You know what I mean? Or I push really hard here, but here I don't have to. So I just want to be all gas all the time. You know what I mean? Because then that's the only thing that quiets the mind for me. If I know I did everything I could across the board, then I can go to sleep at night. If I don't, then I get fucking demons.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. I love the way you put it, like all gas all the time. And I assume it's not as naive to think that always yields the best results, but on a net basis, it's like I'd rather default to all gas all the time, because if I have to slow down and break to maybe custom fit this one activity over here, well, the consequence is that I lose the mentality over there. So does that ring true, MFG? Like on a net basis, it just makes sense to have that heuristic rule.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is that sometimes people will want to take something and just broadly apply it to discredit it. You know what I mean? So it's easy to think, well, you can't do that. You're gonna beat yourself up. You're gonna get injured. It's like right. But think about what the metric that we're talking about measuring is. The metric isn't how long you work out for. It's not how much you lift. It's, are you pushing yourself to your limit genuinely? And that you can do every day. And it's, but to me, it's like, even I don't know. I'm torn about recommending this mindset to other people, because it probably isn't the most healthy thing mentally or physically long term. But to your point, Wes, the mindset that I'm able to extract from it far outweighs any of the negative content, any of the downside of it. to have that
Yeah.
kind of like congruency and inner peace that that, okay, this is important to me, and whatever the fucking thing is, and I actually do everything to get it done that I can, and it's also too, it's a weird thing where it's like acceptance, you know what I mean? Because you start to accept, all right, there's a lot of things that I can't control. There's a lot, and there's a lot of results that I can only have so much control on influencing. But the one thing I know I can do is the gym. I know I can push myself physically every day, and nobody can really get in the way of that. You know what I mean? But it kind of, the more that you accept reality on reality's terms, kind of the more leverage you have to change what is actually within the locus of your control. And magically, when you tighten up what you can as much as you can, then the other shit tends to kind of take care of itself.
I also wonder for you guys, because this is true for me as MFG's talking, like I need the court. If I'm not fully engaged in whatever games that I am trying to win, then it's unbelievable the stupid shit my brain gets into. Like now I'm concerned with what the peanut gallery is saying. Now I'm concerned with whatever the hell else. Or I find myself getting caught in stupid conversations of like whatever the latest Netflix show is that I didn't even watch, but is trying to fit in with like the whatever, friend group I'm sitting in at that time. I like the all gas all the time mentality, full well knowing it's not healthy. But cheers to that. Ray, what is your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, a terrifying glimpse into the dark mind of Mikey fucking Givens. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like I am not, I'm not all gas all the time. That's definitely an area that where I can improve. I'm like half gas, half ass, I think, at this point. And but I like what he said about the importance of living true to yourself, being authentic to yourself. To thine own self be true is a like a poetic way of saying it. And I think that yeah, that's an important way that I live today, which is playing the games that I want to play more often than not, more than I was doing 10 years ago, more than I was doing 20 years ago. um if it was up to some of my masters, I wouldn't even be on this call right now, right? Because this is toxic, or I've been told this is toxic, or I've been told I'm in no position to give advice. And so, yeah, I guess like what I love about Mike's comments are like you have to be authentic to yourself. The only person in the peanut gallery that really matters is you. And so, and I guess like, again, what Jordan Peterson would call your future self is the person who is going to either get the rewards, or like you said, actions, and there's an action and then a lag time from the reward, but there's also an action and a lag time and the consequence. So I think that's another part of the conversation, right? Which is the rewards of the gym and fitness are one half of the equation, but the consequences of not going are the other part of the equation that we have to keep in mind.
Well, what are those consequences for you, right?
Those consequences, I mean, those consequences are feeling sluggish and I think it's a higher chance of having a depressed mood, and then just less and less. So feeling sluggish and less energy. So it's like less energy, less energized, less motivated, or if I had to use three E's, like less energy, less energized, less enthusiastic are the outcomes if I don't go to the gym.
Yeah, but that's not enough. That's just the absence of positive benefits. What's the
Right.
real consequence? Because at the end of the day, you're the only person that you have to live with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So if you want to, now that you're consciously aware of that, you live in a way that you have to look at yourself in the mirror and realize as you get older and fatter and lose mobility, like we all do with time, you're going to have to look at yourself and say, oh, I can't do this anymore because I didn't do that. Now, like the consequence to me isn't as simple as like, oh, I don't get these positive benefits. The consequences to me is like, I'm gonna fucking let it slide here, where it's relatively easy and I have all the control.
Yeah.
How much am I gonna fucking let it slip where it actually counts? Where am I
Right.
gonna drop the ball with my integrity? If I can't keep my fucking integrity to myself, how am I gonna do that for my kids, for my family, my work? You know what I mean? If I can't keep a commitment to myself for a fucking hour a day, you know what I mean? How does that? Because I'll be honest, I don't respect myself when I don't prioritize the things that I deem to be important. And losing self-respect, you know, especially for people like myself, and I'm sure you can relate to this, right? Being shame-based, it's not even just the absence of the positive benefit. When you don't go to the gym, how is your self-talk?
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
And what is what's the long tail of that? It's not as simple as I just missed this, so I'm not going to be enthusiastic tomorrow. It's like I missed this, but now my mindset has shifted. Now I'm looking at my life and where I fuck up and where else I let people down. And what you focus on tends to come into fruition and come into the focus. So now all of a sudden you don't go to the gym and the fucking rest of the day you feel like a loser and you're like, well, you know, but there, you get so far away from the gym, you don't even realize that was your opportunity. That was your
Right.
opportunity to set one win for the day and be like, okay, if I can fucking respect myself, I can respect the other realms where I have to show up. But if I can't respect myself and I'm the only person that I have to live with for the rest of my life, everybody else is going to fucking die, move on, whatever. You know, we come in alone, we go out alone. I can't do something for myself, then what good am I to the rest of the fucking world? And then it has to come down to, is it actually important to me? Or do I want it to be important to me? Do I want to appear to be the kind of person where that's important? You know what I mean? Do I like to say those things? Do I like to profess that that's who I am and here's how I struggle? But I'm really trying, guys. It's like, you know what I mean? Who are you actually versus who are you presenting to be? Conversation that I have with myself pretty regularly.
yeah. And so when it comes to my sobriety and like my commitment to the 12-step process, the alternative is in the literature that we read, it says the alternative for most of us are jails, institutions, and death, right? And so, yeah, and so that's kind of speaking your language, as opposed to like if I don't go to an AA meeting tonight, like I won't feel like I'm connected to the tribe. Like that's kind of like a that is that's the kind of language that I was using earlier in this call. And so um yeah, like I think you're right. Like as exercise leads to a good mood, which fights off depression, which fights off like lethargy and like not showing up for myself and my family, not doing what I'm gonna say I'm gonna do, and suicidal ideation. Like if we want to talk about it in like life or death terms, exercise keeps me like one foot out of hell, right? And if I don't exercise, I walk one pace closer to that hell, right? And those are the terms in which I look at my sobriety. I'll use sobriety like fitness and food and health like as part of the same piece of the life pie for me, right? And so I absolutely live when it comes to my sobriety. I absolutely live it in the way that you're talking about, where like if I don't take an active role in my sobriety in the kind of way that you're talking about, it leads to the life that I don't want and eventually to death, right? An ugly, ignominious death. And so, yeah, maybe some of that kind of scratching the dark side, Wes, would be useful in terms of getting me to the gym more often.
Yeah, I would love to get Kaizen's perspective on this. Kaizen, how important the gym or whatever workout's been in your life, and or commenting on whatever MFG and Ray have said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be saying anything that's like breaking any ground. Everybody knows if you're exercising, you're going to obviously feel a lot better than if you're not. And a lot of that's just going to be your momentum. So if you make an excuse, the whole excuse movement, momentum is something that I think a lot of people kind of gloss over a lot. But if you make the excuse of, I don't have time today because I have to do XYZ, that's giving you more momentum for in the future to say the same thing, to make an excuse. So I made that excuse last time. So it gets easier and easier each time you make that excuse to not do something, even though you in your mind might know that you need to do it. But sometimes you just kind of need that like cold water, self-check yourself, see what you're doing, what kind of momentum you're building, and what direction that's leading you to. And some of that can kind of come with like meditation, or I think a lot of this kind of stuff, like if you run out of time during the day, if you're putting off exercising until like the evening time or something like that, it's going to be harder because you have a lot more stuff that's coming into your schedule. You have a lot more things interacting with you. So you're juggling a lot more stuff. Like people are throwing things at you throughout the day and you're adding it to what you're already juggling. But if you wake up and knock that out like right away, it's one way to start stacking wins throughout the day. Like I'll check the scorecard and just knock out the water, the body, and then journaling. Like just do that right real quick. It makes knocking out the rest of it a little bit easier. And if I do that first, then I know the rest of the stuff is a little bit easier to kind of add stuff to. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I've fucked up and not done that. And then you're sitting there later in the day and you're like, oh shit, I didn't do this. And you can kind of get in like a rut. But it doesn't mean that you can't just, all right, well, let me chug some water real quick. Let me do a couple push-ups. I mean, if you do something, I think that's the biggest thing. Just thing. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go on MFG 6-hour long stair machine until you're puking your guts out. But you also don't have to like not do something for months. So there is an in-between. If you're not exercising, obviously you can't go right into doing something extreme like that. And that's also, MFG and I are in the same realm of, we used to do drugs, so we have to exercise really hard to feel good. So the endorphin receptors are all fucked up, so you kind of have to do that. Whereas a lot of people, maybe they don't. Maybe they can do like a quick 15, 30-minute workout and then they feel pretty good. But regardless, if you do something, I think that's better than nothing. Even if it's 5, 10 push-ups, like that's better than zero. So even count that as a win, because I think it's really easy to get into the mode of beating yourself up for, oh, I didn't do this, or I'm not doing this, I'm a piece of shit, and your self-talk can get really bad. And that'll make you like super tense, and like being around that kind of shit, people feel that viscerally, whether or not that you're saying that or in your mind acting like that way, they'll pick that up. So a thing that I found that makes it easier to kind of keep that consistency and like exercising is to make it fun. So listen to songs that are stupid and make you laugh, but you can still like work out and stuff to it. So you have fun and you associate fun with exercise instead of like this weird masochistic thing that a lot of dudes get into where it's like, oh, I have to work super hard and sweat and hurt my balls and pinch my tip of my penis until I feel some sort of satisfaction. Or you could just, have fun and work out and not be some fucking psycho. Like nobody wants to hang out with a psycho. They want to hang out with somebody that's having fun. So just
why did we have Kaizen on the call the whole time, man?
yeah. No, I can appreciate what comes up for me when I hear both you and MFG talking is almost like accepting like the Sisyphus narrative of like, yes, you're going to have to push the rock up the hill, and yes, it's going to fall back down, and yes, you're going to have to push it back up. But to Ray's point, what's the alternative? We probably don't want to look at the alternative. Phil, let me throw it over to you, brother. What comes up for you on this conversation?
Well, first of all, people that ride electric bikes are fucking losers. Fucking pedaling 1 mile per hour and they're going like 80. Fucking ridiculous. Are you actually getting a workout, or what's the point of this fucking bullshit? But I don't really.
That's the beauty of this group. All different perspectives. Yeah.
No, just I don't really have anything useful to say about this because I don't really ever do this shit. I don't really ever consistently work hard. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it.
Well, as often, have to give credit to Phil that he's not willing to give to himself. Which is Phil. I remember not too long ago, telling Ray and I how much you bike, and I forget how long ago it was, but I'm not sure if you're still into that. But I remember you telling us how impactful that was, and if I remember clearly, how surprised you were at your own output. So I think there's benefit in that narrative of like, hey, I was even rooting against myself, and then I found myself on the other side of the city or something like that. Is my memory serving me correct, bud?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I used to ride my bike a lot. I haven't done that in a while. I don't really know how to apply that to other stuff. Because that just kind of happened by chance. And also, I don't know. I don't really know why that happened. I don't really know what to say about it. I sometimes will just get into a habit of doing something consistently for a while and then I'll stop, but it's never like a thing that I'm choosing to do, it's just kind of random.
Yeah, well, because what I hear from that story that you told us in the past, and Ray, I'd love to get your take on this. Maybe we just go round robin here, final take. Of even if Phil doesn't mind me saying this, even when his mind was working against him and there was a small ember of like, well, maybe I'll just try this biking thing, that he was able even to surprise himself. So for anybody who's in a similar mindset right now of like, hey, enemy thinks I should try this because what's the alternative? And then I tried. It's like, oh shit, I've actually biked. I forget. I think the number was, and Phil, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said like 80 miles.
Or 80.
I don't know if that number is.
Yeah, I biked like 80 miles. Yeah.
So, man, I mean, to me, that's a take-home message.
Yeah, and
it's like even when your
Phil,
brain is telling you can't or you don't want to, you fucking can.
Phil, just to clarify, was that a pedal bike or an e-bike when you did 80 miles?
Yeah, I was actually riding a bike.
Because there's such a difference. I just wanted to that just because you illuminated the difference for us. I just wanted to just make sure.
Yeah, I didn't do 80 miles on a motorcycle. It's not exactly impressive.
No, you didn't generate the sweat by $80 on a motorized vehicle.
I am interested in getting an e-bike because it looks fun. I'm not saying it for the exercise component, but I'd imagine, right, like there's a nice hybrid of like you can go up the hills a little easier of a fashion and then actually get some exercise in on flat road. But anyway, let's go round table.
Wes, the hills is the fun part. What are you talking about, dude? Come on.
The hills is the whole point.
Wes, you should understand this better than anyone. The hill is the best part, dude. No, for real though. Okay, no, like, look, if people want to ride e-bikes, whatever, fucking do whatever you want. I think it's lame, but the because it's not like the the difficulty of all of it is the fun part. But for real, I watched this video. I've actually watched this video twice, even though it's crazy that I've watched an hour plus long video that is so dull. But it's not dull to me because it's this guy's the dude. Apparently, I've never heard of it before, but apparently it's a big deal. This race that they do in somewhere near Hollywood or something, and they're literally just pedaling uphill, like steep hill, like going 25 miles per hour, which is 25 miles per hour on flat is hard sustained. Like going 25 miles per hour up a steep hill is insane, and they're doing that for like 45 minutes straight. It is ridiculous. I don't even understand how it's possible. And they're like racing like up the Beverly Hills or something like that. It's just ridiculous, and that's the coolest thing ever to me. Like, I don't know, cutting out the hills is that's the worst part of e-bikes. Fuck that shit. The hills is the fun part.
All right, fair enough. I'll take it, man. I will take it. Ray, let's start over to you, buddy. Final words of wisdom, man.
Yeah, I think the head trash before the workout is something that it sounds like everyone has to battle with. And just commit to the smallest amount of exercise that'll get you on your feet and out the door. Because like your friend Colin says, the heaviest weight that you're going to pick up on gym day is the keys to lock your apartment door and go to the gym.
Love it. Outstanding. MFG, you're up, brother.
I'm with Phil. E-bikes are lame, but it's an interesting metaphor because where are we doing that in our own life? Where do we look like we're going along, but we're actually not putting the full amount of the effort in? What are we leveraging beneath the surface that is actually holding us back? In the same way, when you use an e-bike, sure, you can go faster along the path, but you're not physically developing at all. There's a lot of areas in our own lives times that can show up professionally, and again, I'm a broken record, but it's easiest to identify and see it and identify that mind virus that exists within you in the gym, because if you physically put it all out there, whatever that is for you, or if you're just coasting along looking like you're putting in the effort. So thank you, Phil, for your analogy with e-bikes. That's profound.
I think go 80 miles in a motorcycle. I'm with Trey. I don't own an e-bike, but I could see myself going to Sunday farmers market, cargo loaded e-bike and all. You guys make fun of me all you want. Maybe Monday through Saturday I'll do the Phil bike, and then Sunday I'll do the Trey bike. Phil, final words of wisdom, buddy.
Oh yeah, I'm with. Yeah, I mean, if you got kids and like you're whatever, get the cargo e-bike. I think that makes a lot of sense. Cargo e-bike is fine. I'm not trying to judge you, Trey. I'm trying to judge all these fucking people that are 400 pounds going 30 miles an hour on their bikes. Fucking bullshit. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say.
So down with e-bikes. E-bikes suck. E-cigarettes rule. We got it, man.
Kaizen, you're up, buddy. Oh, I think you're on mute, bud.
I just want to say you guys are awesome. This group's awesome. Everybody in here is super inspirational. It's helpful to keep motivated and stuff. Just have some fun. Don't be super serious about stuff. Just lighten up a little bit, and that makes everything a little bit easier. Just having fun, like laughing and stuff, I think it makes a big difference.
Hell yeah, completely agree. Well said, dudes. Love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you all on Friday. Later.
Later.